We're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our third segment. Sorry about that extended break there if you are watching on live. I did have a little technical issue which I had to figure out, so if you did also hear some background noise, that was what that was, just me trying to get that settled, so I apologize about that. But yeah, we'll be talking about our off-season grades here for the American League. Sorry. And we'll be giving you a update on the Mets and Brewers game and Phillies and Braves game as that goes on as well. But let's get into first the AL offseason grades. So let's get straight into that. So first off with the offseason grades, we are starting off with the Baltimore Orioles. The Orioles had a really interesting offseason. We didn't really expect them to do much, as that's kind of the Orioles' MO, but they acquired Corbin Burnes really just out of absolutely nowhere. So, I mean, excuse me. Sorry about this. So I gave the Orioles a B for my personal grade. I think they did really, really well this offseason. I think getting Corbin Burnes was a huge get. Getting a legitimate ace of that rotation for that young team was just an incredible morale booster for this. So, yeah, really excited for them and just a really great move in my opinion. Craig Kimball's a fine move to the bullpen, but it's really just about Corbin Burnes. I think getting him is just such an incredible add for this rotation that I really love that move, and that's the reason I gave him a B. I think they could have done a little bit more, but overall I think Burnes is still an incredible move, and you didn't really lose that much this offseason, so especially getting him, the trade wasn't really that detrimental to your farm system because of how many young, great pieces you do have. So, not too bad of a trade for them. I thought it was pretty great, honestly, so B for them. After that, we're going to continue in the AL East for the next few teams as well. We are going to be talking about everyone's favorite team, the Boston Red Sox, everyone's favorite offseason team. So the Red Sox said they will be all in basically as the offseason began, and that turned out to really not be the case. Now, I want to be clear that the moves they did make, I liked. I wasn't a big fan of the Giolito move. Honestly, that was the only thing I was not a big fan of. I was kind of proven right because he's now out for the season with injury. That's not really why I didn't like it. I'm not going to predict injuries ever, so I'm not gonna take a victory lap about that. Obviously, you never want to see anyone get hurt. But I thought the Vaughn Grissom move was really nice, getting him for Chris Sale. I thought that was really good. I think the Brian Bayo extension is really great, honestly. I think the Hendricks signing is really nice for the future, but I think they needed to do a lot more. I think they should have signed a big starting pitcher. I think they should have signed a few more. I think they should have signed a bat or two maybe. And I like the moves they made, which is why their grade's not lower, but I had to give them a C-. Again, they just didn't make enough moves purely for that. I just can't give them a grade above that. I don't think they had as bad of an offseason as people are saying, but I also don't think it was good. And I understand why people are low on them. So overall, not a fan of their offseason. I just think they had to do more, and they didn't. So after that, we have the Yankees. And as much as it hurts me to say, because no one really likes the Yankees, I gave them an A. I think whenever you acquire a top 5 player in baseball, they have to get an A. I think that's pretty clear. So, with the Yankees, getting Juan Soto was just such an incredible add that, again, I have to give them an A. Like, I have to. So, I think they should. I think also the Stroman move is really nice, their rotation. I think they could have added maybe one more pitching arm, especially after Garrett Cole got hurt. Yes, they didn't really have the money for it, but you could have traded for someone if you wanted to give up the prospects, but I understand why they're hesitant. So I still give them an A. I still think the Soto trade was incredible and is one of the pure reasons they are getting an A. When you acquire a player of his caliber, you have to get an A. So I do have an A for them. Again, would have been an A+ or higher if they did get another starting pitcher, but they got Stroman, they got Soto. That's good enough for me for an A. After that, we have the Rays. I gave them a C+. Now, for the Glasnow trade, I love that move for them personally. I think Johnny DeLuca and Ryan Pepio is a really great return for Glasnow for the type of player he is, for the risks he does have. I think that was really nice. But other than that, I wasn't really a big fan of anything else. I think they should have added I think they should have added a real shortstop. I don't really think Ahmed Rosario and Jose Caballero are really going to be your big pieces for that shortstop position. Now, I say this, and Jose Caballero and Ahmed Rosario will probably hit 30 home runs this year because that's just what happens with the Rays. They do these things. They make okay players into superstars like they've done with so many other players. But just on paper, it was an okay season for me. I think they should have gotten a real shortstop. I think they should have added a lot of players, but I think they should have added some pitchers, especially with the injuries to Jeffrey Springs, to Shane McClanahan, to some other pitchers as well. So I think they could have simply just done more, but the move they did make with especially the Tyler Glasnow trade, I really like that. So I'll give them a C+ here. And finally, in the AL East, we have the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are kind of in the same boat as everyone else. I like the moves they did make. I just think they needed a big superstar for this team. And that's why I ended up giving them a B-. Yara Rodriguez, really nice move. Justin Turner, nice move. Kevin Kiermaier, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, nice solid moves. It's just they lost Matt Chapman, and they don't get their big superstar that they were hoping for. They don't get the Ohtani, they don't get the Soto, they don't get the Yamamoto, the other superstars they were looking at. So I just think they needed to do more, and they didn't. So that's why I did have to give them a B-. I like the moves they did make. I want to make that clear. But I think there should have just been more with where the team's at, and I think they should have added a big-time player, and they just did not. For whatever, it wasn't really their fault, I would say. I don't think they had the prospects good enough to trade for Juan Soto. I don't think Ohtani wanted to go to Toronto, and I don't think Yamamoto wanted to go to Toronto. So I can't really fault them too much. I think they tried their best, but it's just how baseball works, and that's why I ended up giving them a B-. So now we're moving into the AL Central here. So I'm going to give my grades for those teams. So first, we are going to be going with the Chicago White Sox. Now, I'm giving the White Sox a B. Now, I know what you're going to say. Well, Sam, you're basically saying the White Sox had almost as good of an offseason as the Yankees, and the White Sox traded people away while the Yankees acquired Juan Soto. Yes, it all depends on context here. The White Sox are not going to be trading for Juan Soto because they're not trying to win. They're trying to lose, and they're trying to rebuild. And for the moves that the franchise is currently in, I love what they did, honestly. I love the Aaron Bummer trade. I think getting a guy like Michael Soroka back was a really great upside move. I really, really like that trade overall. I like the little moves they made with the veteran signings they got. And for where the team is, I really thought those signings were perfect, and I thought the moves they made were perfect, honestly. So I do give them a B. I really like what they did. I like what they got back in the Dylan Cease trade. The more I think about it, the more I love that return. I think Drew Thorpe is a really, really good player. I think Samuel Zavala is really nice. I think Jario Ariarte, or I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that name, I think he's also really nice. So, yeah. I really like what the White Sox did this offseason for where they are with this franchise. I love what Grit Getz is doing over there. So, yeah, I give them a B, and I wouldn't think twice about it. I was a really big fan of what they did. The Guardians, they got our first D of today. They signed Austin Hedges for some reason, and they traded for Scott Barlow. Whoa, yay! They need hitting. They got nothing. Bad offseason by them. I don't know what their plan is personally. Is their plan just have good pitching and get by with a awful hitting staff, with awful hitting core? I don't really know. I don't even think their pitching is all that. I think it's good, but not as great as some people think it is. So, yeah, just not a big fan of the Guardians offseason at all. I think it was really bad, and I think they could have done a lot more. So, I'm giving them a D. Tigers now, they get also a B. I love what the Tigers did. Really, I love the moves they made for this team. I think Jack Flaherty and Kenta Maeda were really strong additions to this pitching staff. I think Shelby Miller and Andrew Chafin were really nice adds to the bullpen. I think Mark Canha was a beautiful add to that lineup. I think is a perfect veteran bat to add. And they have a lot of great young talent here. I mean, Spencer Torkelson, we're hoping for his first real big breakout year. Riley Green, Parker Meadows. So overall, I really did love what the Tigers did this offseason. And I thought they added some really nice pieces to this young team that can compete. With the Royals, I gave them an A-. I love what the Royals did, honestly. I really did. I think Seth Lugo was an amazing signing. I think Michael Walker was a great signing. I think Hunter Renfroe, Adam Frazier were good signings to the lineup. I think Will Smith was a good addition to the bullpen. Same with Chris Stratton. I love the Bobby Witt Jr. extension. So I love what the Royals did, but I think they just need to develop more, and I think they need more complementary pieces. I think they have a nice core building around now. I think their rotation is pretty great, honestly, now. I think that top three of Reagan, Singer, and Lugo is honestly pretty amazing, but just not good enough to get an A because I think they needed some more complementary pieces. So that's really it. I have the Twins now here getting a C. I just have them getting a plain C. The Twins didn't do much. They traded for Justin Topa, which was nice, and signed Carlos Santana. Both good signings, but something that really makes them amazing. But simply put, I didn't really think the Twins needed to do that. I think they have a good enough core that there is already, and I think their team is good enough that there wasn't really a big need they needed to add. Yes, Sonny Gray left, but they have younger guys on the roster that can come up and easily fill his place. I think there's a lot of great talent in that lineup, and I think it really just all bets upon a Carlos Correa and Byron Buxton bounce back for this team. So they didn't make many moves, yes, but I still think they had a really good offseason because they simply didn't need to. And I like the fact they didn't feel pressure to make big moves coming off a nice season last year. So I like the Twins didn't do much, which is why they get a C, but I don't hate the fact they didn't do much, honestly. We're going to go to the AL West grades here, but first I want to say that the Mets just lost the game 3-1. So that was a update on that. As a Mets fan, not happy, obviously, but overall, it's not a huge deal. The bats just weren't awake right now. It's okay. It's the first game of the season. Nothing too much to worry about. Once JD Martinez gets in here after his little vacation in Syracuse, I'm confident in the lineup. So, yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow with the game and overall. So, yeah, we're going to be focusing on the Braves and Phillies game now on stream and letting you guys know if anything notable happens with that game. Maybe another bench clearing incident. So we'll see what happens with that, and we'll update you as that goes on. It is still 0-0 in the bottom of the fifth, by the way. But we now are going to the AL West. We have the Houston Astros. I gave the Astros a B+. I love what they did, honestly. I think the Victor Caratini move was a really nice move to back up Yanner Diaz. Josh Hader was an incredible signing. Of course, signing the best closer in baseball. Kind of hard for that to be a bad signing. You now have one of the better back ends of the bullpen in the entire league. Brian Abreu to Ryan Presley to Josh Hader. If your pitcher gives you 6 solid innings, the game's basically over at that point. So I think that was an incredible move by the Astros to make one of the better bullpens in the league. Did they lose some guys like Hector Neris and Phil Maton? Yes, but I think Hader is good enough to fill in for that. The reason I didn't give him an A was because I think they should have added one more starting pitcher. I think a guy like Michael Lorenzen would have been perfect for them to just give them some more depth with the injuries to Jose Urquidy and Justin Verlander. But of course, he didn't end up going to their direct rival, the team in state, Texas Rangers. So, I would have liked to see the Astros sign a big starting pitcher or just a starting pitcher to help solidify that depth. But I don't think it's a huge deal, and that's why I did end up giving them a B+. The Angels, they get the first F of the entire show. They lost the best player in baseball, gave a huge contract to a reliever who immediately got hurt in spring training, and that was kind of it. Sorry, Angels get an F. Not much to say here. You lose the best player in baseball. You do nothing to counter it. I thought they would maybe sign Jordan Montgomery or Blake Snell. They didn't do either. So, yeah, not a fan of the Angels offseason at all. They get an F pretty easily. Now, I gave no F before the Angels, and now Angels and the A's are getting back-to-back Fs. So 2 back-to-back Fs after no F the entire year, after the entire segment. So, the A's get an F. No real surprise here. The A's had a horrible offseason. I don't think anyone expected otherwise. They had some okay signings in Miguel Andujar and J.D. Davis. Made an okay trade for Alex Wood and Ross Stripling, I guess. But, I mean, they're the A's. They're not good. They have no plan. They get an F. Not much to say here. We're going to move on from the A's. They're not good whatsoever. So, yeah. After that, we have the Mariners, who I gave a B. I really like what the Mariners did, honestly. They started off the offseason really slow, but picked it up, getting Jorge Polanco, getting Mitch Garver. Trading for Gregory Santos was a nice move. I think their starting rotation is, of course, incredible. So, yeah, I think Mitch Garver and Jorge Polanco are really nice complementary adds to a lineup that already had some solid pieces. Of course, J.P. Crawford, Julio Rodriguez, Kyle Raleigh. So, yeah, I think it was a really nice offseason by the Mariners. Started off slow again, but I think with the moves they did make, they're very impactful. So I was a big fan of it, and overall, nothing negative to say about the Mariners offseason here. Last but not least, we have the defending world champion Texas Rangers. I give them a C minus. They didn't really do much. They signed David Robertson, which is a nice addition to the bullpen. They signed Tyler Mahle, but he'll be out for the first half of the year. Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander are going to be out, and that's it. So, yeah, I think they needed to add a pitcher, a significant starting pitcher, and they did not. They let Jordan Montgomery walk. So, yeah, just not a fan of what they did this offseason. But it's okay. They won the World Series. They accomplished their mission. I think their lineup is still pretty just insane with the amount of talent they have. So it's not like they're going to be bad. I have them in the playoffs, as I said before. So yeah, not too negative on the Rangers here, even though I did give them a C minus. So it's just the way the cards fell for them. So yeah, that's kind of it. So that was the end of our third segment, giving out my AL offseason grades. The highest one I gave here was to the Yankees, getting a flat A, and the lowest were to the Angels and A's, who got both Fs. So, yeah, we'll be going into our fourth and final segment, which, of course, is about giving NL offseason grades. I gave NL, so I gave AL, so now I have to do NL, of course. So, pretty simple there. So, yeah, we'll be talking about that, and we'll be going to a break before then. So, see you after that, and thanks and bye.